Hey guys, it's Adam from LUCIDPIXUL and welcome back. Now, you might not know this, but there are many things in my life that I love, that I obsess over, that I worry about, that I ruminate over, that might not have nothing to do with art in general. For instance, I've got my 3-year-old Himalayan cat, Link, who I have to take care of, and I watch his diet, and I watch his litter, and I make sure he doesn't get gnats, and I make sure that he goes to the vet whenever he needs to, and he's got his vaccines and his drops for when he goes outside so he doesn't get ticks, and you name it. I obsess over him. When I'm not playing with him, I'm obsessing over him. You might not know this too, but about 5 days ago, I got him a little brother, a 2-month-old Himalayan, just like Link, who's a Himalayan as well, named Gimli, who I introduced some of you to recently. My little new addition to the family, a 2-month-old kitten, sweet as a button, but when we got him, very underweight. He's supposed to be closer to 2 pounds at 2 months, but he's actually around 1.2, 1.3 pounds. So I've been weighing him every day and checking his diet and making sure he's got the right kind of food and make sure he's getting the right kind of hydration and make sure he's playing and make sure he's getting lots of love and he's getting plenty of sleep and that he's in a clean environment and that videos like Jackson Galaxy's videos, and I read his entire book, the Cat Mojo book and everything, which highly recommended, by the way. Really amazing. And I've been watching Kitten Lady. Yeah, I've been lost in kittenhood lately. So that alone has been a very big preoccupation. I've got Chloe, my 12-year-old daughter, who started her first week of high school this year, which is really exciting. Lucas, who's got a brand new teacher, who's incidentally has the same name as my daughter Emily. Her name's Madame Emilie, which is French for Emily, and he loves her to pieces and treats him extremely well. Approaching high school himself, I've got my daughter Emily, who's starting her first year at classical film animation at Concordia University. Exactly what I studied, where I studied over 25 years ago. So there's an apple who hasn't fallen far from the tree, it seems, and I'm super proud of her as well. I worry about them, and I think about them every single day. I worry about everybody's relationship with one another. I've been decorating my home and changing all the lighting and the lamps and the switches and getting deep into interior decoration and how I'm going to furnish things and how am I planning out my space and space for my family and how do I make it more productive and make it more functional as a home, because we're a big family, so making sure to keep the house clean is a big endeavor, right? So it requires a lot of organization there. Then I teach full time. I've got my classes that I teach 5 days a week, and I take that job extremely seriously. And to me, every single time I sit down with a student, I'm not just sitting there and doing what they paid for. No, I want to give every iota of myself to them, to listen, to offer the best help that I can offer. And I take that role very, very responsibly and very seriously. And then I like Elden Ring. I love video games. I have my PS5 sitting right next to me. The remote control sitting there, all charged and ready for me. I'm coming, baby. Don't you worry. I'm on my 6th or 7th playthrough of Elden Ring. I'm currently going through the full guide, the full all quests completed guide by the YouTuber It's Shatter, who's probably my favorite Souls guide YouTuber out there. I also like the sound of his voice. He's nice to listen to. So I like playing too. And then sometimes I just get myself nerded out. Oh yeah, I just got a new Rodecaster Pro 2 for recording audio, which is a fun as hell tool. But I had to learn how to use this thing. There's a learning curve to learning all this equipment, and I'm kind of setting myself up with different mic arms and tweaking the lighting in my setup and doing a little bit of interior decoration in my setup as well. And then I got to eat. And then I go to the gym 3 days a week. And then I got to sleep properly. I got to take care of that too. And one must ask the question, how the hell do I manage to find the time to record a video like this and let alone sit down to draw, to paint, to create art every single week for these videos? How do I even manage to do that with everything else going on in my life? Well, I had to find a way to do it. And over the years, as the demands of my life got bigger and bigger and bigger, as I put more and more care and put more seriousness into every endeavor that I take on, every priority that I have in my life. I had to adopt certain habits. I had to adopt certain skills and develop these in order for me to grow and flourish and be productive. But it didn't come overnight. I had to face obstacles. I had to make a lot of mistakes along the way. And I see these mistakes in my fellow students. I see these mistakes in fellow YouTubers and fellow artists and people who aren't even artists, people who just are trying to live a productive lifestyle and struggle with that sometimes. So what I want to do today is teach you the tools that I've learned over the years to help me to be very productive, how to set my priorities, and how to make this process fun, consistent, easy. And so when you sit down to draw and paint, it's not a struggle. You're not hitting a reset button. You're just sitting down and you're getting the ball rolling right away. Now the first thing that goes without saying, it's kind of a non-starter if you don't have this ingredient. And that, of course, is passion, love. I wouldn't be dedicating any of my time to any of these things, to my family, to my students, to my pets, to myself, if I didn't care, if it didn't matter to me, if I didn't have the passion to pursue these things, if I didn't have the passion to draw and be creative, if this wasn't something that mattered to me at my core, well then, forget all of the above. You're dismissed. You can go home, forget about it, because that's not going to happen. But if you do have that ingredient, that essential ingredient, then the first most important thing that I think you need to realize is something that I had to learn over years, and something that after I learned it, I started to realize was a much more consistent thing throughout many very highly productive artists out there, is, and it's going to be a bit of a surprise to hear this, sound. Isn't that interesting? Think about it for a minute. You're sitting down right now listening to me talk. There's music playing in the background. Beautiful music. And I didn't produce it myself, unfortunately. There's great artists out there that are taking care of that job for me. And you're in a mood right now. And when you listen to my videos, there's a consistent mood to my videos. Well, that's not a mistake. I'm an artist. You're an artist. And when I sit down to draw, one of the things I've learned over time that's sometimes it's not an intuitive lesson for a visual artist, is that your soundscape, what's going on around you, doesn't only influence whether or not you can get yourself into a productive mood, but also is the thing that can either keep a mood consistent or can break that mood. And in turn, when you break an artist's mood, you break their art and or their ability to produce it in the first place. What do I mean by this? Well, if we take ourselves out of visual arts and think about an art form that, for instance, is directly connected to sound, such as, for instance, being a singer, being a musician, being a dancer, being a comedian. Comedians make sound out of their mouth, don't they? Right? They talk. That is their thing. One of the things you'd learn very instinctively on day one is how sensitive you are to sound. When I go out dancing, I used to go swing dancing all the time, and then I got into jive, and now I'm more into salsa and stuff like that. Been doing that for over 20 years. If I'm at an event, if I'm at a club, and a song that it's good, it's fine, it's whatever, comes on, if the lyrics or the rhythm or the sound is not clicking with me in that special way, then I'll do one of two things. I'll either politely accept an invitation to dance by somebody. I'll have fun. We'll dance. We'll get to know each other and stuff like that. But it's not going to be this, it's not going to be this magical moment, will it? It'll be fun, whatever. And once it's done, I'll sit down. Or the other option is I'll use those less interesting songs to chill out, to dry off because I'm all sweaty from dancing, to bring my heart rate down to something that's a little bit less heart attacky, right? And I'll use that song as a chance to rest because I don't feel compelled, I don't feel drawn to get up on my feet. But if a song comes on that really connects with me, where the sound, the rhythm, the voice, the music, the horns, all of these different things, they all come together and they just click, they flick that switch in my soul, then I don't care if I'm on the brink of cardiac arrest, if I'm on the brink of collapse, you cannot stop me from dancing. That music just flicked a switch. It ignited this fire inside my soul, and I can't. And when that songs like that come on, I desperately get up like like some feral cat looking for prey. Like, I need somebody to dance with, quick. And I'll go scanning around looking for the first person I can dance with, because I have to dance to that song. And usually when songs like that come on, you can see everybody else doing the same thing. It becomes a room of people standing in a club to a room full of predators. It's really funny. And when that song comes on, man, the song can last 15, 20 minutes long. I remember this one live event. I was at a club that I used to love going to. Sadly, they closed. It was called Cubanos in Montreal. And I love Cuban music. That's kind of my favorite type of salsa music. We were at Cubanos, and there was this band called Valentín y los del Caribe from directly from Cuba. I think it was probably one of the first shows they ever did in Canada at that point. They would sing songs, they would play songs that I remember to this day that sometimes would last 12, 15 minutes long. And they would keep growing and building the emotion, and just building and building until you're in this freaking euphoric high that you're just, it was crazy. And I remember reaching this point, this kind of, I don't know if it was like just this dopamine rush that I got from dancing, that my body was starting to fail. My legs were starting to give out from under me, and I could not stop dancing. I couldn't. And when the song finally ended, it was like this explosive kind of like ending to the song. And it was just this like one of the most memorable experiences I had going out dancing. And I went to sit down in the chair, and I almost missed the chair because my legs gave out from under me when I went to sit down, and my ass hit the chair hard because my legs just gave out. I had completely exhausted myself, and I almost got up to dance to the next song, even though my body was saying, dude, stop. It's not healthy. Stop. Right? And I sat a couple of songs out to get my heart rate back to normal. But that's my point. I listened to, if you listen to the biography of Chuck Jones, my favorite film director of all time, at least animation film director, and he would talk about when he did Rabbit of Seville, the barbershop quartet thing, the barbershop thing, and he said in that, it's to me, when it came to my animated films, it was music first, animation second. He would hear a song, he would hear a melody, and he would close his eyes, and that film would unfold in his brain. The music was his catalyst. It was his trigger to get this story going. If you listen to, I was just listening to a podcast with Joe Rogan and Louis C.K. where they were talking about their experience meeting Dave Chappelle for the first time, because I'm a huge stand-up comedy fan too. And Louis C.K. was talking about how Chappelle would listen to music. He would have his headphones on and he'd bring these boom boxes with him everywhere he'd go. And he would listen, when he had met him, he was listening to Nina Simone, and he was getting himself into this headspace, and he said, oh, listen. And he said, listen to that moment. And then she sang this verse, and he just went, oh. He would listen to this before every show, before getting on stage. He would get his, well, as Jackson Galaxy would say, his mojo going. I'm going to steal a term from Jackson Galaxy, the cat daddy. Mojo, that's a good word. Mojo refers to when a cat gets their groove on. When everything's aligned, their tail is up, their ears are forward, they own their space, and they've got their mojo, and everything's grooving, right? Humans need their mojo too, and sound is such an important facet of that. And that brings me to the very, very reason why I've mentioned many times, I've been very, very open about this, why I have a VatiVidya bookmark on my shortcut bar on my Safari window. Because I want a one-click one click stop to listening to his videos. Now, why is it? Is it for any specific reason? Yes. For some reason, when it comes to the sound of his voice, the ambient music in his videos, the way he paces himself, the subject that he's talking about, Souls games, which of course I'm a huge fan of, all of it. Even the little jokes he throws in every now and then, he throws in these little funny little quips in his dialogue. It hits the right rhythm for me. It's the right texture, it's the right rhythm, it's the right theme. And his videos immediately snap on that mojo. It doesn't matter where I am, it just clicks me into place. It's the right thing, it's the right thought process, it's the right everything. And I know that I can rely on that every single time he posts a video. Confided he doesn't burn himself out because he works like a horse, right? But you know, I can always rely on just rewatching his videos over and over again, and just letting them play in the background while I paint. That's why I listen to him. But if I switch gears, if I switch songs, if I all of a sudden click on Philip DeFranco, which I can watch in moderation, I like his videos, but his tempo really burns me out quickly. I get ear fatigue from listening to him too much. Not an insult to him, it's just the pacing of his videos is very intense. Or if I listen to something that really pulls me in, but it's completely not related to painting, it's a different vibe, it's a different energy, a different thing. Like, I don't know, if I'm listening to Darius, or if I'm listening to Johnny Harris, or if I'm watching, Gerald Undone, if I start watching, videos, or I start getting to camera conspiracies videos or whatever. If it's not my vibe, if it's not my energy, then that immediately is like hitting a light switch in my brain, and it turns it off. It pulls me out of that headspace, and that has a very detrimental impact on my productivity. I've learned to very carefully curate my soundscape when I'm painting. Some people actually prefer not listening to anything at all. Some people prefer absolute silence. I remember my professors in university back when I was studying fine arts and stuff like that. They would say, no, when I'm painting, silence. I mean, I can hear ambient dogs barking outside and people talking, but I can't listen to music because it influences me too much. And I like to be in a very lucid headspace. So for some artists, they prefer silence. If that's your style, cool. But if you do listen to music, pay attention to which sounds, which frequencies keep you painting and which ones distract that thought process. It's exactly the same reason why I produce these art talks the way I do. Okay? The music that I choose, the introduction, my dialogue, the pitch of my voice, the rhythm of my dialogue, the thoughtfulness that I put into what I'm saying are all tied into my mojo as an artist. And I'm trying to share that mojo with you. I'm trying to be your dance partner through your painting, through the sound of my voice, and through the music that I pick. It's for that same reason, if you've been listening to my art talks for several years, why I changed the intro music. My intro music used to kind of have this fun jazzy song at the beginning that I still love to this day. But I realized at a certain point that intro, if you're watching my videos back to back, you're going to get this nice calming energy, this nice consistent vibe, and then all of a sudden you're going to jump into some catchy music and then back down. So it would knock you off tempo. And I get irritated by that when I'm listening to stuff. A good example is other Souls lore YouTubers, some of which might talk with a calming voice like this, and the Eldritch blah 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 did that, and then Morgott said blah blah blah, and they talk like this through the whole video, which is cool, it's okay, it's all right. And then at the end they say, thanks for watching everybody. You notice that just kind of knocked you off because like somebody kicked you off your stool. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I was like, oh God, don't do that, right? It irritates me to the point where I won't listen to their videos. Vaati is much more sensitive to the sound of his own voice. He's much more sensitive to the rhythm of his videos. It's not by accident. It's not a coincidence that he's so celebrated as a Souls YouTuber. Why he's so celebrated as a YouTuber in general. He knows that. He's very aware of that. Every choice he makes when it comes to sound is of crucial importance. And he also wants to make sure that whoever he works with, the artists and the editors and the musicians that he collaborates with, sometimes me, right? I did his Soul Arts book review, was very carefully picked. It was very carefully picked. He needs that kind of compatibility with the people he partners up with. Okay? But there's more to that. Yes, I'm still gonna go on about sound. It's not only important when it comes to getting in the right mood, it's also very important for maintaining a mood. And what I mean by this is a painting, anything you're painting should have a soundtrack to accompany it, depending on the subject. For my particular case, I listen to Vadi a lot because I do a very consistent style of artwork, this dark, kind of Frazetta-esque, Miyazaki-esque, Soul-esque, Beksinski-esque type of art that I produce. Vati's videos, that rhythm, that music. Sometimes I'll listen to other kind of true crime videos, like maybe Mr. Ballin. I like listening to him a lot, or other folklore things. Some other things I can listen to. It's good for that type of art. But for instance, when I was working on some artwork for Game of Thrones, and one particular piece I was doing had to do with kind of a sea captain. It was a sea captain character from Game of Thrones, a less known character, but that was the theme. It was supposed to be the excitement of the ocean, some passionate kind of creature of the water type of thing, type of sea captain. And I spent a good couple of hours looking for the proper soundtrack for that painting that I knew I was going to be working on for at least a couple of weeks. So I ended up choosing the Master and Commander soundtrack because the sounds of the cello and the yo-yo ma and that song when the doctor and the captain are jamming out with the cello and the violin and his thing, that kind of happy. I could smell the wood, the damp wood and the salt water, and I could feel it in the music. And I thought that kept me in the right vibe. And I consistently listened to that song only when my stylus was in my hand and I was painting. If and when I ever changed that song, guaranteed, it's like somebody knocked me right out of the train. I lose that trail of thought. That happened to me actually by accident when I was working on the Ravenloft painting, another YouTube video that I did a couple of years back. It was kind of fan art of the Ravenloft series from Dance of the Dead by Christy Golden, one of my favorite books. And I was listening to, I can't remember, some kind of like old classical kind of classical fantasy type of music from back in the 1970s, 60s and 70s and stuff like that. Kind of gave me a bit of a vintage fantasy vibe. And that got the ball rolling, and my colors were really nice and saturated, kind of going with that old pre-Frazetta generation of fantasy type of more colorful work, like the old Star Wars stuff and stuff like that. Kind of got my head in that headspace listening to this music. And then, like I do, I started listening to some more Dark Soulsian stuff. I started listening to the Bloodborne soundtrack and stuff like that halfway through the painting. And I swear to God, that day, I spent about 3-4 hours working painting, and I completely changed the color scape of my painting. Not voluntarily, not experimentally, just my mojo changed, my vibe changed. I switched channels, and my painting fell apart. I lost control of the theme. I lost control of the mood, to the point where I ended up reaching out to my friend Tyler Edlin, who you should definitely go and subscribe to. He's a magician with a paintbrush. I reached out to him on Messenger and I said, Tyler, here's my painting. Help me. This is crisis, man. I was doing so well, and then I just lost it. And he said, sure. And a couple of hours later, he sends me a little bit of a tweak, a little bit of a paint over to my painting. And I looked at it and I went, you gotta be kidding me. I don't know how he did it. Like I said, the guy's a magician. He read my mind. When he sent it back to me, it was literally almost a carbon copy of my original plan. It was a more colorful, more old school vibe to the painting. And I don't know how we recognized it, because he never even saw the original. He looked at it and he just sensed that was the direction it needed to be in, and he sent it back to me, and I sent him back a side-by-side comparison. I said, Tyler, look what you just did. I showed him my original, and then I showed him his paint over, and I said, literally, you reverted my painting back to its original. Do you realize you did that? And he went, in his kind of nonchalant way, cool, I'm glad to help. I was like, damn, that guy's good. And yeah, he knocked, and I realized moving forward, I made the mistake of changing the soundtrack. I changed the sound I was listening to, and that changed my mood. Now, the next thing is planning. I can't stress enough how important having something to do, planning something to do before you sit down to paint is. I'm actually planning a video really, really soon. Speaking of planning, if that's not meta for you, I'm planning a video soon. I actually got in touch with a company that I'm completely in love with because they produce probably my favorite productivity app, particularly for visual artists. It's called Milanote, and I've got it on all my different devices. It is my brain when it comes to my painting. It's become that, at least over the years, because it's fast, it's intuitive, and it's visual. It's like, think of it like a to-do list, a visual to-do list. It's kind of like that, where you can bring all of your video references and your photo references and everything like that all into these nice little modular panels that you can all line up really nice. It's a very aesthetic looking layout too. I like nice looking apps. I don't like apps that look like they were designed for programmers, right? I like stuff that looks like it was designed for artists with a sensitivity to looks. But it's extremely functional, extremely simple. It's not too clunky and busy. It's very, very straightforward, but it's got all of those little magical little features that I love. And I will spend days sometimes planning out dozens and dozens of different paintings, planning themes, doing research, looking for links, looking for YouTube videos, and I compile them all into this planner, which I'm going to share with you. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a big video talking about my productivity and my productivity apps because I'm obsessive about that kind of stuff, and I'm sure there's a lot of cool stuff you're going to check out. So definitely subscribe for that because that's coming soon. Yeah, I actually did a call out for a subscription. Look at me, I'm being such a YouTuber. And that way, when I'm ready to paint, I know what to paint. I'm not sitting there thinking to myself the worst thing you could possibly think, which is, what should I draw today? Should I do an elf? Should I do a weapon design? Should I do a vehicle design? Maybe I should do some landscapes. Maybe a building? How about architecture? If you walk into a painting, if you walk into a day of art with that in your head, hang up your pen and walk away. You're wasting your time. It's going to be a nightmare. I guarantee it. I absolutely guarantee it. You need to have an idea. You need to do some thinking, some visual planning first. So for me, for instance, since I'm somebody who's very big into folklore and I'm somebody who's big into Lovecraft and I love doing dark subjects and stuff like that, my productivity app kind of is very organized, and it's categorized into folklore. And then when you go into folklore, it gives you into different nationalities of folklore. So Greek and Vietnamese and Slavic and Canadian and South American and indigenous and etc. I've got these lists of different cultures. And then when you go into those, you've got these panels with visual references and checklists and links to YouTube videos that are all nicely organized on this big panel. And I'll color code the ones that I feel might be easier to tackle if I just want something easy to draw. And I've got all that there. I do the same thing with interior decorating. I do the same thing with my YouTube videos. I plan everything in Milanote. Okay. Now there's lots of different apps you can use. This isn't a paid promotion for Milanote, but that's the one I like, right? But I have that there. So what do? I sit down to draw. I click on the video thumbnail. I open up Photoshop. I open up Pinterest, which is where I do all my visual references 99% of the time. I open up Milanote. I look through the list and I go, I want to do that one today. The whole process of turning on my computer, getting myself mentally ready, and drawing, and getting the reference together, and having my planning and getting my drawing going is usually a maximum of 30 seconds. Usually it's quicker than that. I've gone through the rhythm. I even have my little Elgato Stream Deck that has everything shortcut to a button. I hit 4 buttons, I'm good to go. It's that simple. I even sometimes will set up, because I'm on a Mac, I set up default layouts so that I can I want to make it so that it's a one-stop shop to just click on one button and everything kind of lays itself out like that. I can't stress enough how important that is. That's kind of a good segue into the second part of this, which is streamlining the process. One of the things that makes me capable of doing all of these things and getting all these things done during the day is the fact that it doesn't take me a long time to set up. So the way I work is I want a one-stop shop to productivity when it comes to recording a YouTube video. In my old place, because I didn't have a designated space, setting up lighting, wiring, mics, boom arms, lighting gels if I needed to, cleaning up the space, setting things up, making sure everything's good, making sure I've got some nice clothes on and I fix myself up so I don't look like I look like I just woke up. That kind of shit took a long time. It would take me hours. And then, as I've described in earlier art talks, is exactly when you're ready and you hit the record button and you're good to go, that the phone rings. And the school calls and says, yeah, Chloe's feeling a little bit sick today. She said she wants to come home. Can you come and pick her up? And I go, okay, I'll be there. I'll be right there in 50 minutes. And I hit stop. And then, well, I have to take everything down because, I'm not going to leave everything out so people can't use their living room. So what did I do? I made it so that as much as possible, I can sit down in my chair. I turn my camera on. I turn on my lights. One remote, tuk, 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 lights. My audio, I just got a Rodecaster Pro 2, which I'm recording in here for the first time today. It's right next to me on a VESA arm. I've got my camera monitors all set up right in front of me. I turn on my audio device. I pull my mic close to it, put some headphones so I can hear what I'm doing. Make sure I check my audio levels. I make sure all my lighting is set up properly in my studio. I'm doing all of that sitting down in my chair. I'm not even getting up, and then I pull up my camera remote and I hit record. And I even have an Edelkrone remote so I can set my camera keys when I'm doing the camera slider videos. And I do all of that sitting in my butt. I have 3 remotes sitting right next to me. I don't even have to get up out of my chair. So again, the process of turning on the lights, which are all set up and ready to go, turning on my audio devices, getting my camera and my camera keys ready for my camera slider, and hitting the record button is maximum 1.5 to 2 minutes. If it took longer than that, there's too many things that are going to get in the way and distract me. So I have to make sure that I've created a very streamlined, all my office, when it comes to my office, is meticulously organized. If I need something, I know exactly where it is, where my tape is, where my tape measure is, where my books are, where all of my cables are, where my chargers are, where my batteries are. Everything is really carefully organized. Why? Because if it's not, I'm going to spend half an hour looking for my tape measure. I'm going to spend half an hour looking for my cat scale for my kitten Gimli because I'm weighing him every day. I'm going to have to look for stuff, and that looking for stuff throws me off. And before you know it, my productivity's gone. I've gotten distracted and something else came up, and that day of work is gone. So the quicker you can get yourself started, the better. I can't stress enough how important that is. Make sure you're organizing your space in a way so that it takes as little time as possible to start your work. And if you combine that with a well-planned painting, if you combine that with getting yourself into the right mojo quickly, with a nice vibe, a nice music, a nice playlist, a nice YouTuber that gets your heart going, gets you into that right song, gets you into that right rhythm, you're going to be up and running in no time. But wait, there's more. There's one more thing I want to talk about, and I'm bringing this up because I do have a 21-year-old daughter who's a social butterfly. She's addicted to her friends. She's addicted to being busy, and with that can, if not monitoring yourself closely, can lead to some fallbacks, to some potential hazards. And that hazard being is your life, the rhythm of your life can be complete, utter chaos, which is a very easy trap to fall into if you're between that 18 to 25 demographic, which I know a lot of you are. In fact, I think demographically, I don't look at the analytics that much, but I'm pretty sure that the 18 to 35 is kind of like the most common age group that listen to my videos. So what's up to all of you? If you don't have a rhythm, if you don't have a schedule to your life, which is very common, when I was in my 20s, I was out all the time. It was like my life, there was no schedule. That was just go out and do, right? And as a result of that, my sleep, my diet, my energy, my focus was just all over the place. Remember something. Your thoughts, your productivity, your lifestyle is a product of what you do to your insides, right? What you eat, how you sleep, whether you've got an upset tummy or not because of what you're eating, what your diet's like. If you're exercising regularly, are you getting proper nutrients? Are you taking supplements if you're not? Are you getting enough sunlight? Are you going out and hang out with your friends? Are you giving yourself a chance to rest? All of these different things that you do every day. If there isn't a set rhythm to it, then you are at odds with your own biology, your circadian rhythm, your hormones, your diet, your mood, your energy, your temperament. Everything is going to get thrown off if you don't have these things aligned within reason, of course. I mean, it's not military school, right? But the more you have this semi-consistent rhythm, if you're saying, okay, I go to bed at 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night. I wake up at this time. I have my breakfast at this, and this is what my breakfast is going to be. Have a healthy breakfast. Have some oatmeal and blueberries or something really good for you. And, and have a healthy lunch. Make sure you're getting some greens. Make sure you're getting protein every day. Don't eat too much sugar. That shit's just going to burn you out. Don't eat garbage. Don't put junk in your body. Make sure you're getting some kind of activity. Go for a walk with your friends. Go for a walk alone. Ride your skateboard outside. Go to the gym. Whatever kind of physical activity you need. Do this at a consistent time over the week. Think about your rest time, when it's time for you to decompress, when it's time for you to sit down and draw. If you do all of these things at a rhythm, you start to train your body to get ready for it. So if for me, for instance, after I've taught my morning class and I've had my lunch, that's when I sit down to draw. I know on certain days at 12 o'clock p.m. or 12:30 p.m. once I've had my lunch, once that's done, then my brain, my hormones get me ready for productivity. I sit down and go, okay, now I'm mentally ready to draw. I sit down, I click on my Vadi video, I get my thing ready, everything's all set up, bang, I'm off to the races and I'm ready to draw. And it's much easier for me to get into that vibe. So not only have I planned myself to paint, not only am I in the right mood, but now on top of it, my body, my rest, my digestion, everything is all lined up with that at the same time. So I'm not fighting discomfort. I'm not fighting fatigue. I'm not fighting being wired. I'm not fighting, feeling shitty that day or moody because I was up till 4 o'clock in the morning doing stuff and now I'm trying to draw the next day. I'm not fighting against my work schedule in order to be productive. And it just makes life so much easier. Okay? Now, like I said, within reason. If you want to eat some shit food one day, have your cheat days. I'm not against cheat days. I like to eat healthy, but a cheat day once in a while is fine, perfectly cool. You want to go out with your friends and have a couple of drinks, totally cool. You want to stay up late and watch a movie with your sweetheart, totally cool. Do that. It's fine. Just be aware of that rhythm and be aware to kind of bring yourself back. Don't let yourself get lost in the chaos of whatever is every day, because if you do that, you're going to be fighting yourself all the time. And the problem is, what this all comes down to is, in the end, you've taken all of these facets of productivity for granted. Your diet, your sleep, your lifestyle, the influences, your organization, the workflow, how well your area is organized, how well your workflow is organized. You take all of those things for granted. You don't even consider any of them. Instead, you walk up to your drawing tablet, you pick up your stylus, you open up Photoshop or Clip or Procreate or whatever app you're using to draw, and you sit there and you look at this blank page and you think to yourself, what am I going to draw today? What am I going to draw today? And then your stomach goes, and you go, oof. and then your cat starts to cry in the other room, so you have to go and take care of them, and you come down and you sit again, and then you look over and your TV's playing something really, you're watching Fighting Cowboy do a playthrough of Dark Souls, and you're like, well, that looks like fun. And then you look back at your drawing tablet, and then you go, what am I going to draw? I don't know what to draw. And I'm so tired. I haven't slept in the last 26 hours. I'm really exhausted, but I really need to get something done. I'm such a bum I haven't drawn anything in a month. Oh my God. And you do that for around 45 minutes, and you say, okay, forget it. I'll try tomorrow. And you hang up your pen and you don't do shit all. Sound familiar? And you do that day after day after day. And what you end up doing is, the biggest mistake you end up making is you blame yourself. You blame yourself. When in fact, you aren't the problem. Your ability to be productive is not the problem. Your creative abilities are not the problem. Your ability to learn the fundamentals is not the problem. The problem is you're at odds against yourself. You are literally fighting a creative war against your own brain and body, and you took that completely for granted. But if you start not taking it for granted and you start becoming more conscious of all these other factors that go into productivity, you have my absolute promise that you're going to see a night and day difference in how easy it is for you to just pick up your pen and draw. Sound good? With that said, of course, I love you all with all my heart, more than you can imagine, and happy painting. Take care.